How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, all of us know, all of us should know, my royal family, that the jury of the Ahmaud Arbery trial, they are deliberating. And I have some things that I want to talk about because I've been paying attention to the case. You know, I ain't been doing a whole lot of videos, but I do pay attention. And I have nothing to read today. I do have some videos that I'm going to present to the royal family. I have an audio that I'm going to present to as well. Now, one thing that really stood out to me in this outright lynching is that these murderers, you know, listening to Tavis, these murderers have a sense of entitlement. And what gets me is these fantastic stories that they tell. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to close it out real raw. All right, my royal family? Y'all know how I get down over here on the True Royal Family and True Royal. So we're going to go on a journey. I'm going to interject like I always do, but I'm going to close out. It's going to be real rough. Oops. Hold up. Hold up. Let's refresh that. So we have a 4-minute audio here, my royal family. All right. Forgive me. Gonna get the entire 4 minutes.
Jury deliberations are underway in the Georgia murder trial of 3 white men accused in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. Arbery, who was black, was shot to death last year while he was running down a residential street outside the city of Brunswick. The case has drawn attention from racial justice advocates who have maintained a presence at the Glynn County Courthouse since the trial began a little over a month ago. NPR's Debbie Elliott joins us now from Brunswick. Hi, Debbie.
Hi there, Ari.
To start with what's actually in front of this jury, walk us through the charges and the defense's response.
Well, Travis McMichael, his father Greg, and a neighbor, William Roddy Bryan, are charged with murder, aggravated assault, and false imprisonment for chasing Ahmaud Arbery in pickup trucks and then killing him. The McMichaels say they were trying to make a citizen's arrest when they went in armed pursuit after Greg McMichael saw Arbery running down their street. They say they thought he might be responsible for neighborhood break-ins. Bryan joined in that chase and then recorded the killing on his cell phone. Travis McMichael, the one who killed Arbery with a shotgun at close range, he's claiming self-defense because Ahmaud Arbery fought back.
So the jury started its deliberations just before noon local time today after they heard final closing rebuttal from the prosecution. What was the state's final message for the jurors?
Prosecutor Linda Donakowski sort of ran down all of the choices that the defendants made leading up to this tragic outcome. She talked about how these strangers chose to go after Ahmaud Arbery, even though they had no knowledge that he'd done anything wrong other than being a black man running down the street. She said he had no weapon, but they chose to arm themselves. They chose to run down a pedestrian with a truck. She urged the jury to reject Travis McMichael's argument of self-defense, given that he's the one who drew the shotgun.
You can't claim self-defense if you are the unjustified initial aggressor, meaning if you started it. Who started this?
The fate of the 3 men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery.
Hold up.
For someone to defend themselves against.
Excuse me for that.
You get to claim self-defense. This isn't the Wild West.
She also reminded the jurors about the language that Greg McMichael used on the day of the killing when he recounted to police what happened.
He proudly told the police, this is what he said to Mr. Arbery. We're gonna kill you if you don't stop. Greg McMichael. Yeah, he was trapped like a rat.
Now, Debbie, Arbery's family, including his parents, have been in court throughout this trial, watching testimony and evidence that have sometimes been painful. What are they saying now that the case is before the jury?
Right. There was a real tough moment at the end of the prosecutor's closing today when she asked the jury to hold all three defendants accountable for turning this young man into that one, showing a smiling photograph of Arbery in contrast to a crime scene photo of him laying dead in the street. His mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, wept at those images. Later, outside the courthouse, his father, Marcus Arbery, called what he'd seen in the courtroom devastating, but he said it's also strong evidence that should lead to a conviction. Wanda Cooper Jones also sounded confident that the prosecution proved its case.
She presented the evidence, again, very well. I do think that we will come back with a guilty verdict. And I want to leave with this. God has brought us this far, and he's not going to fail us now. Amen. We will get justice for Ahmaud.
Now it's just a matter of waiting to hear how jurors saw that evidence.
And in the meantime, what's the scene like in Brunswick where everybody's waiting for that verdict?
Well, some protesters have been out today, but not as many as we've seen at times, including yesterday when there was a very vocal march around the courthouse led by the new Black Panthers. It caused a bit of a controversy because the judge was in the jury room at the time and heard some noise from outside. It prompted him to move the jury room into a more interior space, and it prompted Arbery's family to ask supporters to please remain peaceful and do nothing to jeopardize a fair trial.
NPR's Debbie Elliott.
All right, my royal family. So basically, we just basically have
from NPR
a recap here. Like I said, now we're going to start getting into some things that are very disrespectful, very rude, very condescending. This is what this trial has been about. Rudeness, racism. I mean, it is on full display. I was looking at some pictures earlier, my royal family, and they was trying to show some cleanup pictures of these murderers. No. That's their true essence. So, I know some of y'all know already. And it says here, that was just beyond rude. Ahmaud Arbery's mother react to defense attorney saying Ahmaud had long, dirty toenails. I'm going to say what some people may think or may be on their heart. Fuck you. Point blank. Fuck everything about you. But see, the enemy do these things, my royal family, to spark an emotion. They were banking on really one of Ahmaud's parents jumping up, falling out, fuck you, whatever. Now, when you are dealing with the enemy, I want you to listen to me real close, because I just had a situation less than 24 hours ago. I had to deal with the enemy yesterday. And how can I put it? This person, if you want to refer to them as a person, has been very disrespectful to my family. And I have in my so far in my lifetime, I've only communicated with this person 4 times. So when I communicated with them this last time, I let them know that you are a complete failure, and you know that you are a failure. And I left it right there and let it savor. When you're dealing with the enemy, you don't have to always cuss them out. And I know I cuss on here. I'm going to stay raw. I'm going to stay true. I'm going to stay real. But see, they like to try to corner you and put you in a trick bag. Before my dear father closed his eyes, he told me to watch my anger, do my own thinking, and don't make hasty decisions. I thank my father for that. So, as we continue on, just some personal stuff that I had to get off of me. Let's see here. Let's get this thing going. Okay. This is another recap, but very necessary, very, very necessary. And this is a little over 8 minutes. Love getting local news.
Of the 3 men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery expected to be in the hands of the jury tomorrow.
Now, both the prosecution and the defense giving closing arguments today. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for First Coast News at 5. I'm Heather Crawford.
And I'm Anthony Austin. We do have team coverage for you on this Monday, live from Brunswick, with what happened both inside and outside the courtroom.
And first, we want to begin tonight with On Your Side's Keitha Nelson, who is field anchoring our coverage live outside the courthouse tonight. Keitha?
Katie, Anthony, I want to give you new information that just came in. The state at this point will give their rebuttal tomorrow. Initially, we thought that was going to happen tonight, but again, that is set to happen tomorrow. They just got back into the courtroom. We just heard the judge announce that. Again, the state is planning to give their rebuttal tomorrow. That's set to start at 8:30. We'll also see the court charge the jury tomorrow, which means they'll give them the jury instructions, and deliberations are expected to begin tomorrow as well. So let me give you a quick idea of what's going on right now, just over my shoulder, outside of the Glynn County Courthouse. Most of the demonstrators have left for the day. What you're seeing right now behind me, mainly media in front of the Glynn County Courthouse. Obviously, this has gained national attention, something that a lot of people are keeping a close eye on. Let's take you inside of the courtroom now with 3 things that you'll need to know what has happened so far today in this murder trial. 3 men accused of murder in the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery. So we have heard closing arguments from the state and defense attorneys on all 3 defendants. Again, we have just learned that the state tomorrow will give their rebuttal starting at 8:30 in the morning. So today, William Bryan's attorney, Kevin Goff, he requested a mistrial for the 7th time. This time, he brought attention to the demonstrators outside of the courthouse who had rifles in hand and a coffin being wheeled around, saying it was threatening. The judge denied Goff's request. Defense attorney Laura Hogue raised concern about a juror who she said was nodding off during her closing arguments. That's juror number 12. Juror number 12's attention span has been brought up as a concern before during this trial. The judge said he would keep a close eye on her. We want to check in now with On Your Side's Kaylee Tracy, who has spent most of the day inside of the courthouse. She has a closer look at things, what has happened throughout the day, and the big takeaways. Kaylee.
Okay, a lot of the arguments from both the state and the defense centered around what the defendants did the day of the shooting and what Ahmaud Arbery did the day of the shooting. From the prosecution, they repeated a line from their opening statements that the defendants made driveway decisions the day of the shooting and assumed the worst about Arbery, leading to his death. The prosecutor also said that their argument of self-defense, that's the defense's argument about that, was not justified because the defendants provoked Arbery. Defense attorney Jason Sheffield countered Travis McMichael was scared, and he said Travis McMichael did what he did because he felt a sense of duty to his family and to his community. He also brought up Travis's time in the Coast Guard, saying he helped people in need and asked the jurors to help him now.
What did Mr. Arbery do? He ran away for 5 minutes. He ran away from them. Ran away from them for 5 minutes. That's what he did. With his hands out at his sides, and those baggy shorts he had on. No weapon, no threats, no way to call for help, didn't even have a cell phone on him. Ran away from him for 5 minutes.
Will you do as he has done in the past to others? Will you reach out your hand and extend it to Travis McMichael and pull him out of those waters? I think if you've heard anything that I've said, there's only one decision. He is not guilty on all charges.
The jurors were seen paying close attention to both sides as they gave their closing arguments today. We also saw some look into the gallery. That is, of course, where both Ahmaud Arbery's family members and the defendants' family members are. They also looked at the defendants at times. We're hearing that from the reporters inside the courtroom, those pool reporters. Back to you, Keitha.
And thanks for that, Kaylee. You know, this trial has no doubt been extremely difficult for all parties involved, but I want to bring your attention to Wanda Cooper Jones. That's Ahmaud Arbery's mother. Today in court, she was seen crying At a point, we saw her rush out of the courtroom saying that she didn't want to hear what was going on. Now, this happened shortly after a comment was made by Gregory McMichael's attorney, Laura Hogue. Take a listen.
Turning Ahmaud Arbery into a victim after the choices that he made does not reflect the reality of what brought Ahmaud Arbery to Satilla Shores in his khaki shorts with no socks to cover his long, dirty toenails.
Hold that. Let's go back. Did you hear that, bitch? Did you really hear that, bitch? Oh, true, we all gonna speak on it. Let's go back a little taste more. Let's see what we got here. About right there. So, she talks about his long legs and his long, dirty toenails. I heard somebody gasp in the courtroom. Now, all these antics that are popping off in the courtroom, wherever you see it, remember, we're in a dying white supremacist system, and they're holding on to it for dear life. I know you're not going to like it because I said it yesterday. That's what the enemy is supposed to do in a war. Get grimy, you know, and then we want to demonstrate that we are noble. They don't give a damn. So you have to have the same attitude. I don't give a damn. I am superior. The royal family is superior. So we are seeing the enemy on full display. Oh, and I'm going to rip up the murderers. So they're just doing their job and acting on their truest nature.
To cover his long, dirty toenails.
A lot of you online are calling those comments distasteful about Ahmaud Arbery's toenails, the comments you just heard there. But I do want to talk about what's going on within this community. You know, a lot of this attention we're seeing nationally has pretty much put a heavy toll on a lot of people who live here and call Glenn County home. For more on that, we're going to check in now with On Your Side's Megan Rivers. She's been talking with people in this community about the trial thus far and closing arguments which are underway today.
Good evening. We're live in downtown Brunswick tonight. We've been venturing all around this Brunswick community today, talking with folks about how they feel, hearing some of those closing arguments that took place earlier today from the prosecution and those defense attorneys. And the mood hasn't changed much from what we heard from people on Sunday. They're exasperated with this trial. They're exasperated with the attention that it's brought to their small community. And they're also hoping that they can recover from this racial divide that some say that is caused. Now, I spoke with a number of people today who say that the community wasn't as divided as it once was before and as it is now, and it hasn't brought out the best in some people. Della Branson says she's lived in this area her whole life and has always lived in a very blended community. She says she's hoping this trial will lead to a conviction and a lesson learned for any other potential community vigilantes.
They deserve to go to jail for the rest of their lives. You can't do that to another human being. I guess the best way to get past it is not assume because I'm white that I agree with them, or not assume because someone's black that they don't see it in a different way. Just ask each other how you see it.
Well, coming up tonight at 6, we also spoke with a 73-year-old man who talks about his childhood living through segregation in this very Brunswick community and his charge to the community going forward. We also spoke with another gentleman on his take about what's happening and what he hopes to see going forward. Reporting live in downtown Brunswick, First Coast News On Your Side. I'm Megan Rivers. I'll send things back to you.
Thanks for that, Megan. And right now inside of the courtroom, the judge is going over a few things with both the state and the defense. They do plan on breaking.
That's the end of that, my royal family. Like I said, I wanted to bring some local news to the royal family, and we're going to get into something quite interesting. So let's take this one all the way down. And they had spoke of the new Black Panthers. I know nobody haven't shown this on their channel. I don't think. I may not be talking all cocky. Calm down, True Royal. So I thought it would be nice to share this with the royal family to see, there's been some complaints because we are exercising our rights. Ain't that something?
Nothing actually has to be stolen. You just have to enter with the intent to steal something.
This was not a citizen's arrest. Wanting to question Ahmaud demonstrates uncertainty.
The defense and prosecution presenting their closing arguments in the Ahmaud Arbery case today. Our Danae Bucci live at the Glenn County Courthouse with what Arbery's family supporters want to see as they prepare for deliberations. Hey, Danae.
Well, Frank, members of the new Black Panther Party have been here for hours demanding justice for Ahmaud Arbery.
The first thing I must say is I couldn't tell in this courtroom from the defense argument whether this was 2021 or 1921.
All we ask for in America, 400 years, give us justice, give us liberty, give us freedom and independence.
There were at least 7 armed new Black Panther members here standing and marching outside the courthouse. There were several props brought out by supporters, including this coffin with a mannequin on the inside, adorned by names of people of color who have been killed. They say this case symbolizes issues going on across the country.
White vigilantism is on the rise and is at stake right now in this trial. The facts are clear. Ahmaud Arbery pose no threat to human life on that day.
That's right. Right.
And jury deliberations are expected to begin tomorrow. Frank?
All right, thank you. Our Danae Bucci reporting live from Glenn County tonight. Well, inside the courtroom, both sides were given their final chance to convince the jury.
Morgan Norwood has a closer look at closing arguments.
After weeks of hearing testimony from more than 20 witnesses, jurors in the case of the 3 white men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery, an unarmed black man, now listening to attorneys make their closing arguments. The prosecution wrapping up their case, telling jurors Ahmaud Arbery was targeted because of his race.
And they made their decision to attack Ahmaud Arbery in their driveways because he was a black man running down the street.
Travis McMichael, his father Gregory, and William Roddy Bryan Jr. are accused of chasing down and murdering Ahmaud Arbery as he was jogging through their neighborhood. All 3 men have pleaded not guilty. The attorney for Travis McMichael telling the panel the shooting happened out of self-defense and that the killing was justified under a citizen's arrest law in Georgia that's since been repealed. The defense painting a picture of a neighborhood riddled with crime and the McMichaels as its protectors.
And he's scared. And so he's done what he thinks the law allows him to do, which is to try to de-escalate that approach by showing force. Showing force necessary to prevent Travis himself or his father from getting beaten and possibly killed.
But prosecutors say the defendant's assumptions that Arbery was a thief were wrong and that he didn't take anything, unlike the others who were seen wandering in this same neighborhood without alarm.
Nothing actually has to be stolen. You just have to enter with the intent to steal something.
This was not a citizen's arrest. Wanting to question Ahmaud demonstrates uncertainty. Hey, where are you coming from? They don't know where he's coming from. What are you doing? They don't know what he's doing.
You can stream the entire trial live on our website.
So, they didn't like the fact that black men came out there and let's take that down. Let's take that down. Let's take that down before I get into the next phase of it. They didn't like the fact that the new Black Panther Party came out and said what they had to say. And you heard in some of the other clippings, they did speak of it, because you could hear people out there marching, chanting, or doing whatever. Well, we have the right, all right? And that should not affect the jury. Just do your damn job. But what gets me listening to this particular trial, like so many unjust trials that they have, they always make us out to be superhuman, and they geared from head to toe. Gun, taser, billy clubs. They didn't already call for backup, helicopter over your head, the army subject to come down. It is amazing in this country the amount of money that they spend or invest, because they do invest in our demise. It is amazing. They invest in white supremacy. And because when they had Travis murderous ass on the stand, one of the words he kept using was brazen. No, he was angry because our king here would not listen to his commands. Somewhere up in their psyche, they think that when they snap their finger or make ever so slight of a sound, we supposed to start buck dancing. You got us fucked up. We not all the same. You haven't encountered the entire royal family. But the defense, all of them were nasty. And then we had one that ran his mouth more than the norm and displayed white supremacy to the fullest. And we're going to really get a little bit more deeper into these dirty toenails, dusty bitch.
Ahmaud Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, joins us now along with her attorney, Lee Merritt. Ms. Cooper Jones, I thank you once again for being with us tonight. I've heard defense lawyers, prosecutors over the last several hours say it was just out of line what the defense attorney said about your son, the quote, long, dirty toenails. For you as a mother, it prompted you to get up and leave the courtroom. What was going through your head?
Thanks for having me as well. It was very, very disturbing. I thought it was very, very rude to talk about his long, dirty toenails and to totally neglect that my son had a huge hole in his chest where he was shot with that shotgun. She chose not to recognize that gunshot wound, but pay attention to his long toenails.
Why'd you get up and go?
I was afraid that I just was afraid. I sat there for the last 2 weeks and let them dehumanize my son, who wasn't doing anything wrong the day that he chose to go for that afternoon job. And after he's deceased, they go as far as describing his toenails as being long and dirty, despite, like I said earlier, that my son had a huge hole in his chest where he was shot with that shotgun. Very disrespectful.
Why do you think they're doing that?
I think that the defense is doing that because they know they don't have the proper evidence to get a conviction. So they're actually going to any measures to get a conviction, which is not there for them.
I'm glad she said it just like that. I wanted y'all to hear
Four
it
young
straight,
black men wrongly charged and
straight from Ahmaud's mother. I definitely wanted y'all to hear that from her mouth. Let me see. Let me get here. Let's see. Let me go here. Okay. So before I really go in, this case, my royal family, has taken a great toll. The entire journey that Ahmaud's parents are going through is literally horrific, and even after the fact. And I really have a great deal of respect for both of their parents, how they have conducted themselves. Also, I want to put more of a spotlight on Ahmaud's father, Marcus. Their parents are divorced, but they both been each other's rock. They both been there. She may speak a little more, but he is truly, truly there. You know, when we see these tragedies in America, they always want to run to the mother. And we do have black fathers. All right. You see our royal babies? Well, there were kings that helped produce those babies. And there are black fathers that are in their children's lives. My youngest son told me yesterday, which I already knew about it, they did some kind of study a few short years ago and said that the black man is the most involved with his child. Now, we didn't heard all of the kind of tragic stories, but we not on that over here at all whatsoever. We on the positive when it comes to this. So also, let's not lose sight that Ahmaud has other siblings. So this is eating at them. When I seen a title where Ahmaud's aunt said that the family is on edge. They need as much support as possible. Yes, they need clergy for clergy to do what clergy do. See, the enemy hates to see us receive any type of support whatsoever because they know how to get down. Now, Ahmaud Arbery's killers. Travis is the one who actually pulled the trigger, and his father even stated that he would have killed him his damn self. This was all premeditated, my royal family. They was gunning for him, all right? And this Elmer Fudd looking dude was part of the plan too, you know. And the way their mind worked, because I've seen this more than once, they had even planned the filming of, because in their warped way of thinking, that would justify their murderous actions. All of them are murderous. All of them have blood on their hands. And anybody that support this bullshit, you the same way. You got blood on your hands too. All right? We gotta just start speaking how we feel. We've been using other outlets. And there's a great deal of depression amongst the royal family on many, many different levels. And Dr. Franz Kress Welsing said that the number one thing was us dealing with racism. This is what killed him at the end of the day. We're going to have to start getting armed properly, trained properly, and all that. We have to protect thyself, because they protect themselves. But then when you listen to this trial, you're going to tell me my king didn't have the right, and you chased him for about 5 minutes, and then because you don't listen, we don't want to listen to your commands, you think you have the right to slaughter, and then your fucking excuse is you feared for your life, you was just so scared to death, and then they make us superhuman, 20 feet tall and all that shit, muscles popping all out their neck. Get the crying on the witness stand, my son. We done see 3 examples of these demons crying on the witness stand. And raising your ass crying on the witness stand because you got caught. Because at the end of the day, these motherfuckers went fishing It wasn't no big deal to them. We know the whole backstory on this shit. It didn't affect their immediate situation. I have read and heard of people who have murdered, who can't eat, who can't sleep, who have literally lost hair, lost weight. I worked with somebody whose son killed someone. She said when she seen her son, she didn't even recognize him. He was in such a state. But you must remember, my royal family, you're looking at animals at the end of the day. And then they have their own in there trying to give some bullshit defense. And then talk about dirty fingernails. Your existence is dirty. Everything about you is dirty. Your foundation is dirty. Or I can go on all night with this, my royal family, because I feel some kind of way. But I know True Royal must cut it short. I'm pretty sure I have got my point across. I may have even said some shit out of pocket. But y'all do stuff to us that's out of pocket. Every millisecond. Think about that. Every millisecond. Somebody is doing something nefarious to the royal family. And we are in the now. So in the now, you get instant karma now. You get no peace. You get no sleep. You get no rest. You have failed. You have failed yourself. You have failed your family. You have failed this entire country. All eyes is on you, Esau. So I'm going to leave it right there. So, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.